Hey there, welcome to the Millennial Book Junkie. Today I'm actually going to combine my December 2024 reading wrap-up with my January 2025 TBR. Sometimes when I film those two videos separately, they're both so short, so I just figured I'm just gonna combine them and make it easier. To start, first of all, I hope you had a wonderful holiday season. Happy New Year, happy 2025. I'm so excited about this year, another year of reading. And at the end of this video, I'm also gonna share with you my reading goals for 2025. So why don't we get this party started? In December, I read 4 books. One of them was on Kindle and three of them were paperbacks that I own. I usually read a book club pick every single month. So that was the first book that I read in December of 2024. I read The Secrets We Buried by Becca Day, and I read this one on my Kindle. This one, I think I actually somehow got free on Amazon. I think it was like a perk of being a Prime member. And this book is about 4 best friends. One of them dies. 3 of them essentially are trying to make it so that the husband is always the guilty looking one for killing their friend. They don't know who killed their friend, but they're just like, let's pin it on the husband because that's the easiest thing. They have some secrets that they're harboring, and so the book is basically about them trying to keep their own secrets buried while also trying to like make sure that the public is only focused on the husband. I don't know in the beginning if they really think the husband did it, but they just want the focus to be on the husband and not on them, just in case people are suspicious. And also there is this YouTuber in the book that is basically like a true crime detective, you know, like a YouTuber detective, and she is like trying to investigate into this case. And the 3 women are like, oh my God, she's bringing so much attention to this case like years later, and they're all getting freaked out about it. And so the majority of the book, they're trying to prove their innocence while also keeping their secrets buried. And overall, I would say that this book was a very light, easy read. It was very easy to read, very fast paced. I did like that there was always something happening and I wasn't really too bored, but the characters didn't have too much depth. So I gave this one a 3.5. It was just kind of a fun, easy read. Although I will say that it did keep me guessing till the very end. So I really liked that. Like I said, sometimes I pride myself on being able to know, you know, who the villain is. And this one I kind of had some suspicions, but I didn't know for sure who, you know, the real villain was in this book until the very end. So I was like, oh. And you know, the end was kind of like, okay, it was cool. So anyway, 3.5, The Secrets We Buried by Becca Day. That was the first book that I read in December. The second book I read in December was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. This was my very first Alice Feeney, and I had seen this on Bookstagram and I was really, really excited to read it, and it was a very good book. This book follows a couple named Mr. and Mrs. Wright, but their marriage is all wrong. And basically they decide to save their marriage by going to this like getaway in Scotland. Like the wife wins a trip to this church turned hostel in Scotland. And so they go and a lot of weird, creepy things start happening to them. And there's this like woman there who lives nearby who we get her perspective too. Her name's Robin, and she's just kind of weird. She lives by herself. She eats out of like tin cans. She has a pet rabbit. It's just kind of like strange. And we get this feeling that something is wrong with this place that they're staying at. And we also get the perspective of the wife and the husband, so we kind of know what they both dislike about the other one. And through those perspectives, we learn that essentially both of them believe that only one of them is leaving that place. And so it seems a little strange, like something's gonna happen, one of them is maybe gonna die. And so all these weird things start happening to them while they're there. And of course, in the end, we kind of realize why that is, and it was a very twisty read. Also, I forgot to mention, but the husband in this book has face blindness, so he can't even recognize his own wife, which is really interesting, and I think it adds an additional layer to the book that I found interesting. And I really enjoyed kind of not knowing what was going to happen next, and all these weird things are happening. And I really enjoyed, there was a spooky element because there's this one scene where they're like in the kitchen and then there's like a face in the window, and that freaked me out. So I love it when books freak me out, and I really liked that. And I also the whole time was trying to figure out what was going on. And at the end I was like, oh my god, this twist, wow. I had to think about it a little bit, but overall I gave it 4 stars. It was a really good read. It was fun. It was also very atmospheric. So they are in this like blizzard in Scotland and they're just like isolated. It is cold. You can feel the cold. And when this book starts, it's a perfect cozy read. Like if it's snowing outside, it was really great. And I read this in December when it was actually cold. So I just feel like this was like the perfect December read. And it was a great start to Alice Feeney. I've never read any of her books. Like I said, this was my very first. And I immediately added I think it's called Beautiful Ugly, to my book of the month pick because that's her new one. And I'm excited to read that one. So I really like this book, and I also think it's great for Christmas because it is red and white and it's got like snow on the cover. So really good one. I'm really excited to read more Alice Feeney. I also underlined some great lines in here because I feel like she drops some like truth bombs in this book. Like she'll talk about a whole thing in a whole paragraph and then she'll be like, but memories don't take orders, they come and go as they please. Or she'll be like, the best lessons are often the ones we don't realize we're being taught. You know, she kind of like comes out with like these truth bombs at the end of her paragraphs to like really drive a point home, which I thought was really good. So I underlined a bunch of lines that I really liked in this book. So if you haven't read any Alice Feeney, I think this is a fine one to start with. It's the one that I started with. I really enjoyed it. Oh my gosh, so this next book that I read in December was The Silent Patient. And again, this is a perfect Christmas read because it looks like a Christmas book. It's red and cream and it's got a little shine to it. But this was my first time reading this book and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I did not see the twist on this one coming. I gave it 5 stars. I just loved it so much. Essentially, it's about this woman who shoots her husband in the head 5 times. And then after that, she just never speaks again. So this psychologist, or I think he's like a psychotherapist, he comes and like years later is trying to like get her to speak. He like joins the ward where she is. He's like a psychotherapist, like I said. So he tries to treat her and try and get her to speak. And we learn about him and his troubled marriage. And it was just like the way things fall together in this book, like at the end, really just kind of had me. It just had me, you know. And like I will say the one thing that I didn't like about it was like sometimes, and I think maybe this is something that I've noticed about myself with like all books, is that like there's so much I don't really care about the backstory too much. Like a page of backstory, fine, but like, you know, he kind of like the main character, I forget his name. I think, let's see, it is Theo Faber. He kind of like goes into a whole chapter of like his relationship with how he met his wife, and I don't know, I think I'm just getting more impatient as a reader as I get older, and I'm just like, okay, great, we know who your wife is. A page would have been fine, but like a whole chapter, sometimes I'm like, why did this woman, whose name was Alicia Berenson, kill her husband? That's like all I want to know. But honestly, I gave it 5 stars just because the twist was so amazing. Like I was running and I was just like, wow. Like when I was listening to the end of this book, and I was like, I am blown away. I have not been blown away like that in a while. Really, really good book. I highly suggest reading it if you haven't. He also has a couple other books out I definitely want to read. I just can never see myself paying $30 for hardbacks, so every time I see it I'm like so but I really want to read his other books too. The author is Alex Michaelides, and very good book. I highly encourage you to read it if you have not already. I really, really liked it. And the final book that I read in December was Finlay Donovan is Killing It by Elle Cosimano. Oh yeah, Elle Cosimano. I'm not gonna say that right, but you know who she is. And honestly, this was such a fun read. This is like part of a series, so there's like I think 4 more books out there, and this came out like a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago now, and I just had so much fun with this book. I actually got this book as a Christmas present like years ago, and I'm finally reading it, which goes to show you like when I actually read the books that I receive, and I just loved it. It was about an author who meets her agent at Panera, and she's telling her agent about the book she's writing, and it's basically sounding like she's a contract killer. Like she's describing the plot and like how she's saying like, oh, it has to be neat and the killing has to be this, and you know, trying to talk about like how evidence and covering up evidence and stuff like that. And this woman in Panera thinks she's an actual contract killer, when really she's just a mom, a divorced mom of two, trying to keep her life together. And this woman basically slips her a note saying like, I'm gonna give you like $25,000 or $50,000 or something like that to kill my husband, basically. And she's like, oh my God. And so she basically embarks on this journey of like trying to figure out, who is this husband and why does this wife want me to kill her husband? And she tries to explain to her that she is not a killer, but the woman is like, kill my husband. So it just was like such a fun read, because obviously now she has to go and like, she's like trying to decide, do I want to be a broke mom or do I want the $50,000 cash to kill this guy? And you know, she kind of like has to think about it a little bit. And I just find the whole book entertaining and fun. And I was laughing, and it wasn't too twisty. I mean, it was a little twisty, but like, I don't know. It was just a fun read and I really enjoyed it. And I 100% want to read more of these books. And after I was done, I was like missing, you know, when you read a book, you just kind of like miss the characters and you miss the feeling that you had when you were reading the book. And so for a few days after I finished this one, I was like, I just want to jump back into this Finlay world. Like, I need to see what else Finlay is up to. I need more Finlay. So I really liked this book. So let me know if you've read this series already. These are so fun. I really liked it. So those were the 4 books that I read in December, plus The Secrets We Buried. And I had a really good reading month. I mean, that first book, The Secrets We Buried, was not my favorite. It was okay, but these ones were really good. And I was going to read another book in December. I had planned to read 5 books in December. It did not happen. I don't know about you guys, but the holidays for me were very busy, and it was just like, there was no time. And I really don't like to rush when I read. So I think for now, I'm gonna start being like 4 books a month and go from there, because I've said this before, but I'm a pretty slow reader. So yeah, 4 books is good for me. I really liked these books, so yay. Okay, so now let's talk about the books that I'm gonna read in January of 2025. My January TBR, as it were. The first book I'm gonna read is The Wedding People by Alison Espach. I'm reading this one on my Kindle, and I have to say, I am loving it. This was our book club pick, and I am just really loving it. I'm already like more than halfway done with it, and I'm happy that it's the first book that I'm reading of the year. It is not a thriller, it is not a horror. It's a book club pick, so I have to kind of go with what the group wants. And this one I'm really enjoying. It's about a woman who decides that she is, well, she doesn't decide, but she gets divorced, and she decides she's gonna go to this fancy hotel to spend the night. And when she gets there, everything she had planned to do to kind of like escape from this hell that she's been living in since she got divorced is going wrong. Like, she had planned to like get to this beautiful hotel that's like $800 a night. She had planned to get there and like order room service and have like do all of this stuff that she wanted to do. And everything is ruined because of the wedding people, because there is a wedding that is happening at this hotel, and everyone at the hotel is part of the wedding. And either they're a guest or, you know, they're in the wedding, but like everything just gets ruined. And she ends up actually talking to the bride and getting acquainted with her, and then getting more involved in this wedding. And from there, I don't know what happens, honestly, because I am reading it now, but that's kind of the gist of it. And it's really good so far. I'm gonna like not talk too much about it until my January wrap up, because I have a lot to say about this book. It's really good so far. It's feeling like a 5-star, but this is the book that I'm starting the year with, and I am so excited. I have heard nothing but good things about this book, and I cannot wait to finish it. The second book I'm reading in January is The Night We Lost Him by Laura Dave. I am so excited to read this. I have not read any Laura Dave. And the reason why I'm reading this book is because I am going to a walking book club in about a week with a bunch of people who read this book and Laura Dave herself. So I am actually going to be in the same group, walking with Laura Dave, hopefully getting a picture with her, and asking her about the book. I mean, how often are you going to a book club chat with the actual author? So I'm really excited about that, but that is the reason why I am reading this one next. I did not really plan for it, but when I saw the event, I was like, I have to go to that event. I have to meet Laura Dave because I have seen so much about that book. The last thing he told me, I have that book as well, and I just bought it, but I have not read it. Luckily, this is not a sequel, so it's a standalone, thank God, because I thought I was gonna have to read the last thing he told me before this one. And I'm like, I can't read 2 books in a week, so I'm really glad that it's just this one that I have to read. So I'm really excited. So let's find out what this one is about if you don't know already. Liam Noon was many things to many people. To the public, he was an exacting, self-made hotel magnate. I'm probably saying that wrong. Fleeing his past. To his 3 ex-wives, he was a loving, albeit distant family man who kept his finances flush and his families carefully separated. Oh wow, well 3 ex-wives, I would think that's a lot of, families to keep track of. To Nora, he was a father who often loved her from afar, notably a cliffside cottage perched on the California coast where he fell to his death. Okay, this is the part I really like, when the death creeps in. The authorities rule the death accidental, but Nora and her estranged brother Sam have other ideas. As Nora and Sam form an uneasy alliance to unravel the mystery, they start putting together the pieces of their father's past and uncover a family secret that changes everything. So this sounds very good, mostly because there's a death involved. I really like that. And I'm really excited to read this one. I will let you know how it goes. I will also try and either create a whole video about my walk with Laura Dave, or I will post pictures on Instagram. If you follow me there, at Monique Miro. I'm definitely going to be posting, and I'm going on January 12th. Not sure when you're watching this, but if you follow me on Instagram, on January 12th, I'm going to be posting a lot about Laura Dave, so I'm excited about that. The third book that I'm going to read in January is Before We Were Innocent by Ella Berman, and if you watched my December TBR, you know that I was planning on reading this one in December, but it just got away from me, so I'm reading it in January, and this book is about best friends who spend an entire summer in Greece, but I think something happens, like one of them gets killed. One of their friends gets killed, and the media kind of like swarms them, and they're only teenagers, so like, you know, kind of weird. But anyway, the girls were never convicted of any wrongdoing in the death of their friend, but I think as they get older, they end up reconnecting, and it probably brings up old wounds, and I don't know, maybe they find the killer, I'm not sure. But the synopsis ends with the question, can you ever be an innocent woman when everyone wants you to be guilty? I feel like the media and everyone is trying to pin their friend's death on them, and they're trying to prove their innocence. So this one looks really good, and I've heard good things about this one too. I got this one at Target a few weeks ago, and I'm really excited to get started because I have heard good things about it. So hopefully, God willing, I will read this as my 3rd book in January. Okay, so the 4th book I'm reading in January is also going to be on my Kindle. It is called Happy Bunny and Other Mischiefs. It is actually a short story collection by Rebecca Gransden, and Rebecca actually reached out to me via email to ask if I would review her short story horror collection, and I was like 100%, because you just said short story horror collection. And so I was really excited to receive her email, and I'm really excited to read her horror collection in January. So let me tell you what it's about. This short story horror collection is a collection of stories to repulse and delight. The majority of the tales included were written nearly a decade ago, and most are available here for the very first time. Dangerous creatures, neglected kids, dejected employees face the weird, odd, and perilous. My favorite. Enter a world where possessed pageant girls get their revenge. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. A pigeon leads to an underground cult, and a video game mod threatens to unleash hell itself. Enjoy 14 stories of spite, mischief, and malevolence. I cannot wait for this. So this is gonna be my 4th read for January, and I am really, really excited about it. I don't often read short story collections, but I would like to. So I'm so thankful for Rebecca for reaching out to me so that I can read these. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I cannot wait. And there you have it. That's my December 2024 wrap up and my January 2025 TBR. I'm really excited to be starting the year with some good reads. Now, to end this video, I want to share with you my reading goal for 2025. And it might sound a little small to some of you, but I am hoping to read at least 50 books this year. Last year, I read 36 books, and that's mainly because I started going hard on the reading in May of 2024. The first part of 2024, I was planning my wedding and there was zero reading getting done at all. So May was really when I was like, I'm just reading for the rest of my life. So that is why I only read 36 books last year. If I can keep the pace of 4 books a month, I will definitely read 48 books easily. I'm making 50 my goal because it's a nice whole number, and also I know that there will be a couple of opportunities this year for me to read 5 books in 1 month. So I don't think 50 is going to be too hard of a goal to reach. And like I said, I am a slow reader, so I really can only read 1 book a week. And usually the fastest is like 5 days for me. So I am really excited to actually have a reading goal and to know that I most likely will reach it. What's your reading goal for 2025? I would love to hear it. I love to see everybody's goals. If you're ever on Bookstagram and you look at a Bookstagrammer's bio and on their Instagram page, it always says like their reading goal for the year, and I just love seeing everyone's goals. So share with me what your reading goal is for 2025. I would love to hear it, and I would also love to hear what books you're planning on reading in January. And how was your December? Was it as crazy as mine where you weren't able to finish all of your books? Or were you able to? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video or if you like the content. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.